wearing the Giants gear proud this morning. Tommy Cutlets leads the Giants to an upset victory over the Green Bay Packers last night by a score of 24-22 in a night of upsets as the Tennessee Titans knock off the Miami Dolphins. Lots to get to in the Monday night wrap-up. This is the Fantasy Sports Bus. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so before. Live stream today, Waiver Wire Tuesday. We'll discuss all the prime waiver wire pickups for this week. But first, we start with the wild Giants-Packers game yesterday. And, this was a good game. And the Giants coming in on a 2-game winning streak. Decided to stick with Tommy DeVito over Tyrod Taylor, who's recovered from his ribs injury. And while DeVito was completely amped up early on in the game with, dozens and dozens of family members there, his agent goes viral with his ridiculous Sopranos outfit. But DeVito was clutch late. And you know what? He did a better impersonation of Daniel Jones last year than Daniel Jones has done this year. 17-21, 158 and a touchdown. Threw an absolute dart to Isaiah Hodgins in the back of the end zone. And he runs for 70 yards. So Tommy DeVito, I'm not saying you pick him up in fantasy football, but he's given this team a spark. And it has unleashed Wan'Dale Robinson, who I think you should consider picking up in fantasy. Robinson, 6 for 79 through the air and 2 for 36 on the ground. So Deebo Samuel is the poster child for the dual threat wide receiver. Jaden Reed, who was in this game as well, and Wan'Dale Robinson, two young guys that have that kind of game as well. But we'll stick with the Giants first before we discuss the Packers. And Saquon Barkley was the leader in this one as well. 20 of 86 on the ground, 2 touchdowns, had a costly fumble late in the game that almost cost the Giants. But Barkley ends up at 23 PPR points. Had 3 catches for 15 yards. He's still not, ever since his rookie year, Barkley really has not come close to replicating the 90 catches he had. And that's a crazy number. But even like 70, he hasn't, the rate has just not been there, since that season. But Barkley is the centerpiece of this offense. He is the Kyron Williams on the Rams, the Rashad White on the Bucs. He's getting virtually all the carries. And that's going to continue to make him very fantasy relevant. And like Troy Aikman said during the game, he was stopped pretty much in his tracks the entire first half. But all it takes is one carry. And Barkley, if he gets a little daylight, he's going to go. And it's going to result in a big play. And that's what happened in this game. Packers side, Jordan Love wasn't great. Accuracy wasn't great. He did throw a late touchdown pass to salvage his night. Only ran for 2 yards, threw an interception. Just wasn't a good day for him. And this was, again, the Packers came in as one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and they lose to a team that was 1-16 on Monday night or Sunday Night Football, going back, quite a while. Just a bad loss for the Packers. A.J. Dillon did his A.J. Dillon thing, 15 of 53, just completely running in place. The passing game, other than Jaden Reed. So Jaden Reed, 8 catches for 27 yards. A lot of this short stuff just to get him in space. 4 carries for 38 yards, and he scored a touchdown. So Jaden Reed's been one of the biggest finds of the fantasy season. And again, it's Deebo Samuel light. These kind of players are gold in fantasy football, as we've seen with Deebo of late. And with Jaden Reed now. Romeo Doubs, 4 for 32, about the only other person worth mentioning here. But just a bad loss for the Green Bay Packers in this one. And the Giants now, listen, they're still relevant, all right? And they have the Saints this week. They absolutely can beat the Saints and just keep this going. And it's fun. This whole thing with Tommy DeVito is fun. I'm sorry. It's just a good story. Now, Miami Dolphins. I mean, inexcusable to lose to the Tennessee Titans. And Miami Dolphins defense has been playing really well. They gave up 28 points. I mean, it's just an unexcusable loss for them as well. Like, it's just crazy. It must have been the full moon last night. I don't know what was going on. We'll start with Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill, only 4 catches for 61 yards. He got pulled down on the horse collar, hurt his ankle. It looked bad. He didn't come back for the rest of the first half. And then even at the start of the second half, did not come back as well right away, at least. And then he made his late return. It's the same story all the time with Tyreek Hill. It's almost like the boy who cried wolf when it comes to injuries. He gets dinged up, goes into the blue tent almost every game, and then he comes back later on and he catches some more passes. So, I almost want to just write or create a template video and just insert different, injuries, ankle, knee, whatever, and just have it on standby because it's going to happen again. He's a smaller receiver, gets dinged up. But the big, he's the most irreplaceable player in fantasy. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's the one guy you can't lose right now because his numbers are just so awesome. But Jalen Waddle picked up the slack, and he too went into the blue tent earlier on, but came back 6 for 79. And, Waddle's having a nice season, not to the extent of where he was a second-round pick in some leagues, but he's having a nice season. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 of 33, no touchdown passes, 240 yards. It was a mistake-free game for him in the passing game, but he lost the fumble, ran for 15 yards. He's just been very meh, very ordinary lately. September was good, but really since September, not good, not great, I should say. Do you really want to go into the playoffs with him? Now, I know with Waddle and Hill, chances are Tagovailoa is going to go off at some point, but just very listless, uninspired play lately for him. The running game, they were gashing Tennessee all night long, which was surprising because the Titans have been stout against the run this season. Raheem Mostert, 21 carries, 96 yards. Devin Achane only got 7 carries, and this was my concern. I said in a competitive game last week, it was pretty much, Mostert dominating carries against the Commanders until it got out of hand, and then it was Achane. Achane only the 7 carries. He got 47 yards, made up for it in the passing game, 5 catches for 24 yards. But again, Mostert, with, 2/3 more carries. So that's a little concerning. And as far as Mostert in the passing game, only 1 catch for 4 yards. On the Titans side, Will Levis, 1 touchdown pass, 1 interception. Derrick Henry did nothing, 17 for 34 in terms of just running the ball, right? 2 yards per carry is pathetic. But in fantasy, it's all about touchdowns, and he scored twice. So, you know what? It turned out to be a good day, and he's getting all the goal line work. Tajay Spears, 7 carries for 29 yards. But Spears, 6 catches for 89 yards. So can you play both Henry and Spears? Not on the same team. I'm not talking about that. But, if you have Spears, I think you could. He almost reminds me right now of Breece, the current Breece Hall version on the Jets, doing nothing on the ground, but contributing mightily in the passing game. DeAndre Hopkins goes nuclear, 7 for 124 and a touchdown. I said from the start, Will Levis at the quarterback was a really good thing for DeAndre Hopkins' fantasy value, and that came to fruition in this one. I feel good about Hopkins going into the fantasy football playoffs. All right, guys, hit that subscribe button. More videos on the way, plus live stream later. I will see you then.